At the ruins of a church in Mexico, two friends were exploring the area when one man named Manuel entered an underground hole. Inside, he discovered a mysterious antique like the tip of the spear. This antique is the fateful spear. The spear has stabbed into Jesus' body when crucified on the cross and has been lost for a long time. When touching the spear, Manuel began to act strange and left. His friend called, but only a few seconds later, Manuel was crashed by a car on the road. However, a strange sign appeared on his arm, and he stood up like that never happened. That distance, in a poor residential area in Los Angeles, a mother preparing to pay her daughter. But when she entered the room, she panicked when she saw the girl hangs on the ceiling with an evil face. A few minutes later, a taxi stopped in front of the house. Inside is John Constantine, an exorcist used knowledge of Hugh and Huck to fight with dark creatures. He knew about the demon case from his friend Hennessy, who could not deport the demon from the girl. John went down the corridor and found a young girl tied to the bed. He pulled out the window to let the sunlight shine into a mysterious charm he was carrying. He then approached the bed and provoked the entity inside the girl to show it. The evil creature appeared, but Constantine used the charm to press on the girl's face, causing her to start burning. Suddenly, she stopped, but her entity appeared around her neck. John punched him out. Seeing that the demon was stronger than he thought, John asked the family members to bring a mirror to the bed. In the end, he told everyone to close his eyes because he was about to start a ritual. However, one of the people in the house did not obey the instructions, and a strange curse that tried to make his hair and the bride turned gray. Because of this, John was distracted and the demon tried to attack him, but he still had time to complete the ritual of the creature inside the mirror. The demon tried to break the mirror, but before it made, John threw the mirror out and it shattered on the roof of the taxi below. As a result, the other creature was pushed back to hell and the young girl was finally liberated from the possession. After this exorcism, John said goodbye to Father Hennessy, but earlier he asked him to remove the amulet for a few days. The reason is for Hennessy to be able to approach the mysterious world and find out why the demon haunted that girl. Despite knowing the risk, the priest still agreed and decided to investigate. After the conversation, John returned to a taxi and was scolded by his assistant for throwing the mirror into his car. Meanwhile, in a church, female detective Angela came to the bone after killing a criminal. Then she returned home and went to bed, but her sleep was harassed by a strange nightmare. In the dream, a woman exactly like Angela appeared in a disease room and then fled to the roof of the building and committed suicide. Elsewhere in the city, John was at home when he had a fierce cough that coughed up blood. The next day, he went to the hospital and discovered that he had end-stage lung cancer due to tobacco addiction. Also at that hospital, Angela received a call and panicked when she realized her nightmare had become a reality. She discovered the body of the twin sister, Isabel. The investigators said that Isabel jumped downstairs, but Angela did not believe it. A few hours later, John returned home and was celebrated by his best friend Bim. "You bring the weapons John reserved, including bugs, holy water bottles used to fight demons, and dragon breaths that could spray fire." Bim was happy to ask the reason for these weapons, and John revealed that in the recent evil incident, a demon tried to invade the human world. John asked Bim to celebrate the investigation of additional cases because he felt something very strange was happening. Later, Constantine went to a church to meet the angel Lie Gabriel in order to ask God to cure the cancer for himself. Trung Hop, Angela also went to the church to talk to Father David. Unfortunately, both were rejected. Father David said that Isabel could not be stored in a traditional ritual because she ended her life. Gabriel told Constantine that with his selfish and skeptical personality, he did not deserve to receive the word God. The two left the church in disappointment. Angela waited for the rain to stop, and Constantine was so angry that he left. Elsewhere in the city, Father Hennessy used his ability to investigate cases related to the previous exorcism. After reading a series of articles, he found an article about Isabel's death at the hospital. Angela also continued to investigate and watched the recording from security cameras recording the falling scene of Isabel. However, when reviewing the video, Isabel suddenly turned to the camera and said, "Constantine." On the streets in the rain, John continued to walk again. A mysterious man approached him and said he was a devil soul formed from hundreds of insects. This creature felled John and tried to attack him, but the exorcist had taken advantage of the demon's stable sound to make it quickly. As a result, Constantine promptly escaped to the road. However, the creature quickly embodied in front of his road. Luckily, a car rushed over and hit the demon, making it dissolve into a pile of long insects everywhere. After this strange event, John went to a bar, a secret place where angels and demons coexisted without conflict. When he met the owner, he recounted the events that had just experienced and suspected that the demons were plotting something. However, Midnight asserted that the devil could not overcome the name of the human world. John tried to argue, but at that moment a half-life was half a demon appeared and marched John, saying that his soul would soon go to hell. John was about to destroy this creature, but Midnight stopped because the bar was neutral. Constantine was not satisfied, but was forced to leave when he had a fierce cough again. He returned to his apartment, and soon Angela came and asked him to help investigate Isabel's mysterious death. However, John refused to help and even marched Angela's story that made her feel uncomfortable and left. But soon, dozens of black shadows appeared through the window and rushed towards the female detective. Constantine immediately acted to see what was happening and discovered that Angela was returning to his car. Suddenly, the streetlight began to turn off strangely, and the sound of flapping wings echoed everywhere. John pulled Angela into a safe place and took from the bag to a railway, lit the fire, and a strong stream of light revealed the demons surrounding and then destroyed everything. When things ended, the city lights turned back, and Constantine said that the devils were targeting Angela. He believes this attack is related to Isabel's death, and to evidence it was what he had to go to hell to find her soul. Shortly after that, the two of them went to the apartment Angela's, where Constantine asked her to take him a pot of water. Although he felt strange, Angela still accepted. While she waited outside, time on Earth stops. An effect occurs when someone is taken to another realm. John finally arrived at hell, which reflected a human world of devastated and desperate. After a while searching, he discovered Isabel was reliving the moment leading to her death. She removed the hospital's name board and threw it up and jumped out of the building. John immediately followed the name tag while the demons felt his presence and started chasing. He finally jumped up and caught the name tag of the held in the end, but before he was forced him to use the holy water bottle to return to the earth. Time to return to normal, and Angela saw that the scorched Constantine was holding Isabel's name board, proof that her soul has been convicted. Meanwhile, Father Hennessy came to his house to find the body of Isabel. When he found her, he used spiritual ability to find out what happened. While doing so, a strange impression appeared on Isabel's arm. Not only that, Lint, the item, began to hear the voices in his head, made him completely out of control. To ward off them, he tried to drink alcohol from the bottle, but the liquid did not flow out. In despair, he rushed to a wine salon, but every bottle of wine had the same phenomenon. Due to many times, he began to feel scum and fell to the ground. Knowing that death was approaching, Father Hennessy decided to leave a final warning for John. He used the alcohol tool to stab his hand and redraw the impression he saw in Isabel's hand. He finally started spraying wine from his mouth. It was all an illusion. In fact, he was drowning and died. Nearby Bentaza appeared to observe everything with satisfaction. Without knowing anything about this tragedy, John took Angela to a restaurant and explained the origin of his strength. From an early age, he was able to see the half-life creatures, those with angelic and devil power. After many years of torture by these auditions, John decided to end his life. However, he survived. But because of that action, from that day, his soul was convicted to go to hell, and he constantly sought ways to prevent that. In the middle of the conversation, Angela received a call to report to Father Hennessy. John went with her to the scene and shocked to look at the body of his best friend, who sacrificed his life when he tried to help him. Then he noticed the wound in the hands of a priest, shaped like a bound tree in a round room. The next morning, John remembered Beeman investigating this symbolic meaning, while he and Angela went to Isabel's room to find him. Here, Angela said that her sister was supernatural, and so her parents took her to the mental hospital. When she heard that, Constantine said that Angela also had this ability because they were twin sisters, but she denied it. The children were angry and tried to force her to tell the truth, that Angela worriedly ran to the window. She finally admitted that she was able to see supernatural entities, and that she and Isabel have left messages with breath on the glass window. Angela exhaled the glass and the words, "Isabel leaves it." John realized Isabel mentioned Corinthians 17, a right to exist in the Bible written in hell. John immediately called this information to Beeman, who owned a copy of that book. When reading the Sutta, Beeman discovered that Satan's son was plotting to overcome hell to reach the human world. To do this, he needs a supernatural person and an antique with divine power. Beeman continued to read, but suddenly there were sounds emanating in his hiding place. At the same time, his body began to feel fierce, and suddenly a crawling from his eyelids. "Know that my friend is in danger." Constantine immediately rushed with Angela, but it was too late. Beeman's body was crawled from him by insects and caused him to suffocate to death. In the distance, Manuel is still holding the fateful spear and approaching a man in the car. He hit this unconscious person, robbed the car, and started the journey to Los Angeles. Meanwhile, Constantine returned to the apartment, was still shocked after Beeman's death. Angela tries to eat, but John told her to leave because if near him, she could bear the same fate as his friends. However, Angela said she needed the help of he to find the one behind his sister's death. To do that, she wanted to regain her natural energy. John said this is completely feasible if she overcame the name of the human world and the mysterious realm. Angela agreed to perform rituals and exorcisms, put her in a water bath. This is the same ritual that he used to hell, but to succeed, Angela must be completely submerged in water so that he could return quickly. Angela walked into the sink and laid down, but she began to breathe and tried to rise. To complete the ritual, John held her even though she struggled. Finally, the ceremony was successful and Angela went back from hell, restoring her vision capacity. With the ability to return, Angela rushed to the hidden place, Beeman, and seek clues about the murderer of him. She found a Che on the floor, and John quickly realized that it was Bontaza's. For Constantine, now this has become a personal story. He collected the saints from the room of Beeman to make divine weapons. Then both went to Bontaza's office, but John decided to walk alone to let Angela stay in the car with the talisman of Father Hennessy. A few minutes later, Bontaza stood in front of the mirror in the room, but the other side was John. He opened fire and shot down the name of the demon, then threw a bottle of holy water in his face to reveal his true evil shape. However, Bontaza returned and pushed Constantine into the wall and then started attacking him. At that moment, the Exorcist house took out an iron punch, the pocket, and launched many strong punches on the half-body of the demon. Bontaza fell down the table after a series of shots. Finally, John ordered Bontaza, declared the way Mammon was about to overcome hell to come to the world, but he refused. As a final punishment, Constantine took the Bible and began to read the bleaching prayer so that his soul could be welcomed to the party. Bontaza panicked and finally declared that Mammon would come to the help of the Lord's blood, which was in the fateful spear. Constantine thanked for this information, but before leaving him, he was marched because he thought that he could be forgiven without asking for grace. Despite being offended, Bontaza still laughed when she saw Angela entering the room and saying that she was the last piece for Mammon to return. However, he did not have time to be happy for a long time because John was immediately fined with a shot. After destroying the organism, the two quickly left the scene, but Constantine realized that Angela had forgotten the amulet in the car. Because of that negligence, she became vulnerable to a mysterious force. Only in an instant, Angela was pulled out of the building by an invisible force. Constantine tried to chase but could not keep up. There was no other way. John and Schutz broke into Midnight's bar. When he found him, his children pulled out guns and forced him to help him save Angela. Initially, Midnight refused because he wanted to play a neutral role between heaven and hell. But Constantine continues to threaten Midnight, angry. To use the remote control capacity, John entered the wall and attacked him. Despite pain, Constantine reminded Midnight Hennessy and Beeman are also his friends. This caused Midnight to be torn to his teeth and finally agreed to help his old friend. To do that, Midnight gave Constantine, come to the chair, an object used to execute prisoners and were imbued with the magic from the souls of the victims. Constantine sat in the chair, Midnight soaked his feet in water, and electric shock takes him through space and time. Thanks to the power from the chair, John discovered that Manuel was the one holding a fateful spear. The problem is that he has come Los Angeles and is in the hospital with other demons. Suddenly, Manuel felt that someone watched and immediately grabbed the neck of Constantine, but Midnight intervened in time to save his life. After the truth is clarified, Constantine decided to go to the hospital with Charles, who prepared a full weapon and asked for an additional bar from midnight. Then the two left. At the hospital, Angela was thrown into the pool. She panicked, Manuel appeared and rushed to her. Angela immediately pulled the gun and shot many times, but the bullets pierced him without harming. She tried to escape, but Manuel caught and began to press her head into the water. A few minutes later, John and Charles arrived and shared actions. Charles went to the hospital's reservoir and dropped the border tree in it, while Constantine entered the room where the demons were gathered. Replacing the number of enemies is too crowded, John turns on the lighter and activates the fire extinguishing system. What the half of the devils didn't expect, they were showered in the water, thanks to the price of Charles. Their meat began to burn close, and Constantine took the opportunity to destroy each of their names with their tongue weapon. At that time, Manuel continues to drown Angela into the water until she was taken to hell where the ghost was waiting. Meanwhile, Constantine destroys all the demons with the help of Charles. The two quickly ran to the pool. When John entered the water, he found Manuel's body immobilized. A few seconds later, Angela appeared, but now ghosts are happy to enter the house except I tried to liberate her, but Angela, under the possession of Mammon, began to drown him into the water. Fortunately, Charles promptly pulled the two out of the lake, and the two began to conduct a ceremony to celebrate the ghost. After many efforts, Angela was saved, and Constantine congratulated Charles for fulfilling the task. As the joy has not lasted for so long, Charles was pulled by an invisible supernatural power, throwing him constantly into the ceiling and floor. Constantine tried to save him, but Charles's injury was too heavy. Constantine's anger reached its peak, and he made another mantra by activating other magic symbols in his hand. Suddenly, Angel Gabriel appeared and knocked down Constantine. Constantine asked the reason, and Gabriel revealed that he wanted to bring the ghost to the human world, create hell on earth, so that people learned the true value of information through suffering. After that statement, Gabriel threw Constantine into the glass door, bringing the ghost back to Angela's body and preparing to use the fateful spear to release him. Without strength to prevent, Constantine decided to take a piece of glass and stabbed himself. Time immediately stopped, and John was visited by his biggest enemy, no one other than Lucifer. The demon appeared personally because it has long wanted to have the soul of Constantine. However, he suspected this was another tip of the exorcist. But John said that he did that to warn Satan that his son was trying to come to this world with the help of Gabriel. Lucifer did not believe, but still decided to verify the incident. He went to the pool room and saw Gabriel preparing to stab the spear into Angela's body. Recognizing Constantine telling the truth, Lucifer immediately pulled Angela raw, and time returning to normal. Gabriel was surprised to see Lucifer standing in front of him. Lucifer said that he did not allow his son to come to Earth because he knew that he was happy to take over his power. Shortly thereafter, Lucifer chased the ghosts back to hell. Gabriel tried to stop, but he realized that he was deprived of his power by wrong actions. Lucifer did not miss the chance to burn Gabriel's wings and push him into the pool. After solving everything, Lucifer returned to meet Constantine and said it was time to bring his soul to hell. The house accept fate, but make a request that Isabel's soul is saved and taken to the party. Lucifer laughed at Constantine, but then decided to accept, receive request, and start pulling his soul to hell. However, a strange force pulled John back, and soon after, a stream of light appeared in front of them. Lucifer approached and saw what he could not expect, his image of his old house. At the same time, Constantine began to be pulled to Theon party. Lucifer immediately understood that John's noble sacrifice helped him to forgive all sins. In a provocative latch, Constantine was dirty in the middle finger with Satan while being promoted. However, Lucifer did not accept to lose his favorite soul too easily. He took his hand on John and took away cancer from his body. So John has an additional chance to live, and Lucifer hopes that he would make a mistake for that soul to return to hell. The demon then disappeared back to hell. A few moments later, John and Angela woke up. After all that happened, they left the hospital, but surprised to see Gabriel now only a human being. Gabriel teased Constantine and gave him his gun for revenge. But Constantine, instead of killing Gabriel, he just punched him in the face, so that the angel to fall in love with the feeling of human pain. Sometime later, John met Angela on the terrace of a building. The two said goodbye, and before leaving, Constantine to give her destiny to keep it safely. At the end of the movie, Constantine pondered whether everything he had experienced was the Lord's plan. Although there are many doubts, he realized he was given a second chance. His first action to remake was to replace the cigarette. In the last scene, John went to the cemetery to visit his close friend's grave. He left his lighter on the tombstone as a farewell. When he turned away, he suddenly looked back and saw that he now became an angel flying to heaven. An image is both touched and hope for the future, closing the movie here.